to Rap Pages TV right here on Bite Size TV. Don't forget, Billionaire Buck will be performing live later on, but right now, it's time for our Legends in Hip Hop.
Yes, and here to moderate this panel of hip hop legends is an industry veteran who started out as an MC herself.
She's worked in radio for over a decade, working on such stations as LA's 92.3 The Beat and Jamie Foxx's The Foxhole on Sirius Radio.
Everyone, please welcome the owner of RadioFreaks.com, the lovely and talented Felicia Morris, or as we call her, the Poetess.
All right. Thank you, Courtney and Sir. Well, in 1990, the gang violence in LA was at an all-time high. There were gang-related black-on-black and black-on-brown killings throughout the streets of South Central LA. There were 690 homicides and murders just in that year alone, and sadly, that number continued to grow. Something had to be done in order to bring awareness to all of the gang violence. Music producer Michael Concepcion assembled the top West Coast rappers to record a track called We're All in the Same Gang. So today, 24 years later, I'm proud to bring back some of the West Coast rappers that participated on that project. So please welcome Def Jeff, Money B, Sister D, and Louie. Lewski.
Cuddy Mac.
My bad. Cuddy Mac. Okay, you guys were around when the song came out. Can you guys describe, you were in the Bay Area. What was the climate back in 1990 when you guys recorded We're All in the Same Gang?
Well, I was new to LA, and it was, I didn't know much about gang violence, but I know I had friends and I had heard a little bit about it, and I would see what I saw on the news, and I was just learning about it. So when Mike Concepcion asked me to be a part of the song, I was more coming from an Afrocentric perspective because I was like on a conscious level back then with my music, and I didn't know much about gang violence, but I quickly learned.
Okay, and Mun, you being in the Bay Area, what was the climate back then?
It was the same thing, just without the colors. So I wasn't really familiar with all the, the signs and all of that stuff, but it was the same thing. It was just youth. There's a lot of drugs, crack, cocaine was really huge and being sold. So I guess in the community, everybody knew somebody that was involved in some form or fashion, and there was a lot of violence behind the sale of drugs in the Bay Area. LA is much larger, so of course it was escalated a little bit more. But so when we got asked to do it, we knew what it was about. I really couldn't, and that's the other thing, we really couldn't speak on the gang violence because we didn't experience it firsthand. But our take on it was basically there needed to be a stop to the violence in America, period. Right.
Me coming from the East Coast, I got a quick lesson as soon as I got off the plane and wound up in a neighborhood that was right off of Crenshaw and right around the corner from an area that they called the Jungle. So I learned immediately what colors I could wear, what I couldn't say or couldn't do immediately from family that I had out here. And in particular, she went to a high school called Dorsey High School, and there was a lot of friction within the school with students, but just different students there. So I was learning firsthand what was happening. And then as she took me around to different areas, me being involved in the hip hop scene, in particular World on Wheels. And I can't even tell you how many times there was a shootout there in the parking lot, right when we got out from, having a good time, everybody in there dancing, Crips and Bloods. And as soon as we get out into the parking lot, there was violence. So I learned firsthand about the gang violence. And when Mike Concepcion asked us to do the project, I was definitely into it because sadly today, nothing has changed. There's more guns on the street now than there was back then. There's just as many, more weapons, more access to it. And now even smaller kids are dying. Mostly it was just young male adults. And now there's children that are getting hit with stray bullets. Mm-hmm. So the song was relevant then, and it's even relevant now.
Okay, and Lewski?
Yeah. Well, being from the West Coast and growing up black and Mexican from Inglewood, I was raised, I would say from my birth to about 7 years old, I was raised on 47th and Central Avenue. So I had a first-hand look at the Watts riot. My daddy was a part of it. Rest my daddy's soul. I miss my daddy. He's in heaven now. But when you really take a good look at gang violence or look the word gang, it's their family. You know, it's something that these gangsters or gang members, they look at each other, Crips or Bloods, and being Mexican or brown, as you're my family. I'll protect you. I'll cut my wrist and bleed out for you. It's just a way of protecting you, and honoring their hood. Whether it's good or bad, I think it's just a way of life for them. But there is other things. There's school. You know, my mom and dad raised me to take, there's two paths you could take, this path or this path. Well, I met these people going this path as a Soul Train dancer. Soul Train kept me out of gangs, it kept me out of the penitentiary, it kept me out of that other lane. But I did go down that street, whether it was drugs, crime, women, but I always knew that there was another street. And to this day, I love Inglewood. I have love for Crips, I have love for Bloods, I have love for the Brown. I'm not in a gang, but I represent the gang of life, the gang of doing something with your life. And it's not all bad, it's not all good. It's about what you want to do and if you can change. Okay. And these people sitting up here kind of saved my life with the music. They gave us an outlet that we can dance, we can do other things and not just gang bang.
Okay, so you guys have all participated in the We're All in the Same Gang video, and some of that video was shot inside the Nickerson Garden housing projects. And so what we'll do, we'll get into that after we take a break on Rap Pages TV.